Hello, craft beer friends, and welcome to Season 8, Episode 15 of Tap to Craft Podcast. I am Denny Lewis, coming to you from Boise, Idaho, and my partner in craft, the dog whisperer, and my favorite Florida man, also known as Drinking Eagle, from Tampa, Florida, Mr. Chris McKenzie. How you doing tonight, Chris? And of course, what is in your glass?
Yes, and we are still sticking with Drinking Eagle, Joel, which I think is hilarious. So I'm doing really good, Denny. And in my glass tonight, I am enjoying a local Tampa beer called Maxwell from Bay Canyon, right over in West Tampa, which is an area that's growing pretty crazy, right, Joel? Things are growing over there. But this is an American stout that's clocking in at 7.5%, nice and roasty, and I'm really enjoying this beer. But
well, nice. Well, why don't you go ahead? If anyone's watching, we do have a few people watching us live on Facebook Live. Why don't you go ahead and introduce who's joining us?
Well, we also have our buddy Joel Bigham with us. Joel has joined us this evening. He was part of the Fermented Reality Beer Cast, and he's come on to hang out with us for this evening. Joel, how are you doing, and what's in your glass tonight?
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me this evening. Happy to be here. This evening, I'm representing Tampa, Florida as well. By the way, I'm here with Chris, not in his house, but, in town. I have Barriehaus. I still have some of this left. They're fest beer from this year. Probably have another 4-6 of these left, something like that. But
okay.
I'm going to be sad when they all go.
Does it hold up?
It more than holds up. In fact, it holds up so well. Jim ran out of this. Obviously, that was his plan. And then he decided to enter a tasting competition. So he asked me if I had any of his beer left to send in. So it's been actually tasted by the brewer within the last 3 weeks. And he says no problems. And I totally agree. It's incredible. Anyone would be happy to drink this.
Well, good. So I'm enjoying different beer than you, Joel. And Chris, what style was yours?
American Stout.
American Stout. Yeah, I'm going and supporting the IPA, and this is Sierra Nevada's Powder Day IPA. Just came out, and I'll tell you what, I've drank a lot of this beer. This beer is a shocker. So much great flavor in here. And it's 7.7%, and you don't know that there's any alcohol in here. Oh. And by the time you drink a couple, you're starting to feel it, and it's fantastic. I really enjoy this beer. In fact, I think I gave this a right off the bat a 4.25 cap rating on Untappd, because the flavor is really good, and it's double dry hop, so there's a lot of flavor in here, not very heavy, and not hazy. So if I show you, this is a standard, colored IPA, no haze in here, but it does come across, very flavorful and very, I hate to say, I don't necessarily want to say juicy. It just very hop flavorful, not too bitter. Lower on the bitter side, but I've bought. I think this hit our area maybe 3 weeks ago, maybe 3, and I've already gone through like probably 2 cases of it. It's my go-to beer right now. It's just easy drinking. The only problem is that it's not something you want to do anything after you start drinking a few, because you're gonna feel it. And I've caught myself just like going in the fridge to get another one. They go down so easy. And then realizing after I get up again, like, woo, I better sit back down. This is starting to affect me. So if you
I have a confession.
Like that,
that's why I was late. Oh, I had 2 beers earlier, and
and you went down easy.
I didn't like nap. Like, that's the wrong word. But I was tired.
Yeah.
I was feeling a little tired. So I was like, I'll let these guys start the show, and then I'll just come on in.
Okay.
Admittedly, I thought about it. I was like, we should just get started. He's going to hop in here and we'll just go.
Yeah, I was just going to. Anyway, next time.
We'll know for next time.
Yeah, like this is your show. I'm definitely not the right. This is the Chris and Danny
but
show.
we like to if we're going to have someone that's going to come on, we like to have you from the beginning so you can share in all the enjoyment. But
love it.
Next time, if you're not if you're not there within 5 minutes, we will definitely
Just wait longer.
Fuck you. You can't come on the show then.
Yeah.
You get 5 minutes and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm not back in 5 minutes, just wait longer.
Just wait longer.
Okay, well, hey, let's get this show started. But before we get the show started, we always want to let anyone new listening to Tap to Craft podcast know what we're all about. We are an educational podcast focused around celebrating all things craft beer because we want to assist you, our listener, along in your craft beer journey and adventures. And you're listening to episode 197, recording on Monday, February 7th, 2022. And yes, we are live on Facebook. If you would like to join us during our recording session sometime, do that. We record every Monday before release at 8:30 Eastern Time. And just look for our notice that we've started live. Join us, interact with us. We like to answer our listeners as we chat away. And in this episode, we will be discussing a few things. First, we're going to be doing a tasting notes segment with Lagunitas Unrefined Shugga, and also do a short history of the brewery. We'll be reviewing the Dulce raw sugar adjunct used in the Unrefined Sugar beer, and of course, cover some listener feedback and voicemail, as well as some great beer conversation. And Chris and I would like to thank all of our Patreon supporters because this episode is brought to you in part by our satisfied Patreon supporters like Mike Allen, Bill Schlimmer, and Amanda and Kevin Argauer, who are our virtual producers, and Tom Byrne, Jeff Seiler, Johan Halberg, Tara Carlson, Chad Lamassa, Mark Church, Matt Knight, and Eric Gronley, who want to buy us a virtual beer. And if you enjoy the content we provide, we invite you to support the show by toasting your host or buying us a virtual beer or even becoming a virtual producer. You can explore the options on our support page by visiting patreon.com/tapthecraft. Woo, that's a lot to say there.
And I'm going to
Tap that
follow.
craft.
That's right. And I'm going to follow that up with make sure you share the stream if you are on Facebook watching us.
Of course, share the stream, share it to your friends, get everyone on. Okay, Chris. Well, we did get some listener feedback. Actually, it's a question from Tara Carlson. So why don't you go ahead and start off? There's 2 emails. Let's go with the first one.
So Tara wrote in and said that number 1, the first email said, Jim has made me a fantastic red ale, which is a West Coast Radical Red. She said, however, I've been unable to use the spent grains because there's something in there that is so hard that neither my food processor or my blender can pulverize it. Jim used a kit and the specialty grains are listed as Crystal Rye and Belgian 45. Any idea what the petrified grain could be? I suspect the rye.
Okay. So I tried to find the information out for her because I'm not a brewer. John probably has the answer for us. So he'll probably give us an answer here, in a week or so.
Yeah.
She suspects the rye. I would suspect the rye also. Both of these malts are crystal malts, and I just wonder if maybe the process of getting that crystal malt does make it a little bit harder than standard stuff. But honestly, I'm not sure. Do you guys have an idea of what would make these so hard to pulverize in a blender? No?
Especially after you've boiled the crap out of them. Like what?
Yeah.
Calcium deposit? Like, is it Florida? Is the
No,
water
it's
so
in-
hard that
It's
you're
in Maryland, but
that you're
but
winding
they
up
did say it was a kit, and I'm assuming that everything came already pre-mold
Milled.
or milled.
Yeah.
But maybe if it wasn't, and Jim had to mill it himself, then maybe he didn't get a good grind on there. Maybe his mill is getting old. But
my mill's getting old too, so I get
yeah.
it.
Okay, yeah, we're all getting old. But
It's only so much
sorry,
you could do.
sorry, Tara, we don't have an answer. But guess what? She wasn't at a loss. Why don't you go and continue with the second email she sent?
All right. Well, the second email says my sister was able to turn the spent grains into flour using her powerful Vitamixer. Shout out to Vitamixer. Today, Jim made a Paters beer with quite reasonable Pilsner type grains.
There we go. Jim is brewing up a storm, huh?
Well, I mean, it's cold. You
Paters
got to
beer?
do
Paters beer.
Paters beer.
Spell that.
PATERSBIER.
Really? Okay.
It's a new one on me too.
Yeah, that's cool.
Matt Knight hopped on with our live stream here too, Denny. He said that I have about 10 untapped check-ins from about 2 hours ago. Yet I'm not passed out right now.
Oh, wow, Chris, you've been busy.
Now look at this article.
No.
Oh, he did have the day off today. So
I did have the day off, but it wasn't from today. Actually, Joel helped me with those check-ins.
Oh, you guys were together. That's why Joel's passed out.
No, it wasn't today.
No. We were holding hands.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were skipping down the sidewalk together. It was great.
Okay. Well, good. That's good.
Chris has a much longer gait than me.
Yes.
It's a difficult skip. It's a 1.5 skip for me for every skip he's got.
You caught up. I was proud of you.
So there's an article I'm looking at, by the way, real quick. It's kind of cute. It's Patter's beer, the lawnmower beer of Trappist monks.
Oh,
That's what they're describing it as.
Okay.
Okay. I'll have to do a quick little segment on just finding out a little bit more about that style because I don't think I've had it myself. So it'd be good to
Cinnamon stick.
What'd you call me?
It says cinnamon stick. It wants cinnamon stick in that beer.
Wow.
Okay.
Nice.
Patter's
nice.
beer. All right.
Okay. Well, guess what? We have another voicemail. And if you want to join in on the show and leave a voicemail, you can do that by calling 208-536-3359. Or if it's easier for you to remember, 208-53-ODDLY. And just leave us your voicemail like Mark Reed.
Reedy.
Yep. I know. I caught myself right when I said it. Mark Reedy did because he's back again. And this time he's here to school Chris and I. So why don't you go ahead and play that?
I want to say first and foremost that the voicemail is my favorite type of feedback. So
that is Chris's favorite.
So everybody knows. So here we go.
Hey fellas, it's Mark again from Monterey, California. Actually tonight I am calling from Gonzales, California, where my other home is. Not really other home, that's where my girlfriend lives. So I head over here when I'm off the next day, 3 a.m. here. Thought I'd give you guys a call. Just listening to our favorite letter D episode again. And I wanted to say that Merry Christmas from Barriehaus Street Brewery. The brewers come over to my Salty Seal on Friday night and hang out, drink PBR all night. But I will ask them about a Christmas beer from the other guys in Dumb and Dumber. Sorry, didn't really watch too much of that movie.
What?
All right, guys. Oh, the other thing is you can put strawberries in beer. We have a wheat wine called Supertramp. Look it up. We use a strawberry puree. It's fantastic. That's Supertramp from Dust Bowl. Thanks, guys. Looking forward to your next episode. Bye-bye.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mark. And yes, he is indeed. Now, when I make the statement that strawberries are difficult, like fresh strawberries or fresh fruit besides imitation is hard to use in brewing, it's a generalization. And like Mark pointed out, there definitely are some breweries that can spend the money and do the right beer and do this where it can have some flavors in there. It's just very few do it. But as Mark pointed out, Dust Bowl Brewing, which that's where he works at, one of the places he works at, they do have a Supertramp wheat wine style ale with strawberries. And here's what it says. It says, few brewers will take a wheat beer to the level of a wheat wine, but we did. Strawberry puree added towards the end of fermentation provides natural strawberry flavor and aroma without adding additional sweetness. The 8.4% alcohol by volume is well hidden, making for an incredibly drinkable fruit wheat wine. So it's 8.4% ABV, 24 IBUs, and available in February. It's available right now. If you are in the area that gets Dust Bowl Brewing in California, go try some. Let us know how it is. I'm glad that Mark, went ahead and let us know about it because finding a good strawberry adjunct beer can be tough. So, Joel, you've got a lot of experience with different beers coming through. What's been your luck with finding beers that they have strawberry in it? Have you found any that do it really well, or have you had very many that do it at all? And if it did do you think they used real puree or mostly imitation strawberry flavor?
I know I can say, Denny, that the ones that I've had that I can
Mhm.
remember have both definitely used like strawberry, either fresh or
Okay.
some form of a puree. Here in Florida, there's a strawberry festival that happens.
Oh.
Believe it or not,
Next
uh,
month, actually.
in next month in Plant City. It's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
Um,
Currently strawberry
so
season right now.
so I've had, I guess I could say three. I've had strawberry cider from
Mhm.
Keel Farms, which is good. I've had strawberry fest ale. Isn't that an ale from TBBC, Chris?
TBBC is who I thought of immediately when we were
It's
talking
a,
about
it's
that.
like it's like a light, I would say, and I didn't brew the beer, obviously, but I would
Mhm.
say it's a blonde, probably that with
Okay.
a lot of strawberries added. It's quite nice.
Mhm.
And then, if I'm not mistaken, Unane does like the strawberry thing, like the really sour oak barrel strawberry thing, very well.
Mhm.
If I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they made a strawberry one.
Okay.
It's hard for me
Okay.
to, or maybe
So-
that was it. Okay, or I'd take it back, or it was the who's the other big brand that does the Cascade? I think Cascade has a strawberry maybe too.
Yeah, so if Cascade does it, then yeah, it's going to be a a sour ale. I have had actually. Now you say that, I think I did. I did have a.
Right?
I think
Cascade.
I did have a Cascade that had
I think so,
strawberries
too.
in it. Yeah, I think I mentioned that on the show. Now you say
Yeah.
that, Joel, and it was very good.
Yeah.
But again, it's a different style. So yeah, I wasn't even thinking of a sour ale with strawberry. So yeah, there are some good ones out there. It's just I don't think it's done very often, just because of the amount of money it takes to get enough puree, or and again, unless it's
Whatever.
done correctly, right, to not make it too sweet. This obviously is the method they're using sounds like a good way of doing it, where you still can get some of that flavor you want without making it too sweet, because you don't want any extra sweetness added is going to make a
Well,
big beer.
It becomes a bit like a sizer at a certain point,
Yeah,
doesn't it? Like
yeah.
because you're using so much juice that
Yeah.
right, it's not just totally or a braggot, isn't it? Wouldn't we call it a braggot? What is this? What is
Braggots
the
are
name for
without.
this like juice beer thing?
Braggots aren't those
Cider
normally
maker.
aren't those the ones that are bittered with things other than
Yeah,
hops?
other than hops,
Oh,
no
man,
hops.
we're
right,
supposed to know this.
Yeah,
Come
no,
on.
no, braggots. I'm pretty sure braggots are without hops, but we're getting sidetracked. Well,
It's a mead with hefty proportions of beer. Mead with beer is a braggot.
mead
with
with beer
Okay.
and no
Well,
hops.
we're thinking
right?
of something else then.
Part honey, part malted barley. Usually shares the half and half.
Okay.
Each may vary. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, yes. Well, it's a beer show. Can I geek out on the?
Yeah,
on
go
You
the-
can
for
geek
it.
out. Yeah,
What the
this
heck
is
it
this is
actually
where
is.
you can geek out.
I'm
at.
like,
You can
what
do it.
is this thing? I don't even know what it is. Anyway, yes. My point is, when you're making beer with so much juice in it,
Mhm.
it's obviously still beer, but it does become more difficult to work with. In fact, the watermelon flavor seems to be the hardest thing to really
Mhm.
do correctly in beer. I think.
Yeah, watermelon's tough too.
briny
and-
melon's probably the closest.
And now I just remembered what maybe the hopless one is. It Gruit.
That's
that
what
it?
it was.
Is
Grew
it
it.
Gruit? That might
Yeah.
be
Yes,
it.
that
Yeah,
is a hopless beer. You're
yeah,
right.
there we go. So we got it. We
Yeah.
corrected ourselves on air, live. No mistakes going out.
And Tara Carlson just had an imperial dessert sour that was strawberry rhubarb. She said it was
Ooh.
delicious,
I
but
think I had
nothing
one of
like
those.
beer.
Actually,
Is that
I've
corporate ladder?
No,
Or-
she's in
No, she's
Maryland.
in
Tara, who was
Maryland.
that from?
No, it's the other one. What's the corporate? What's their other one? Values, something values.
Yeah, corporate values.
Maybe.
yeah,
maybe.
Strawberry rhubarb is really good too. Mixed. I've had those too. Okay, let's continue on. I don't want to get too sidetracked because we do have a big show we're trying to get through. But if you would like to be like Mark and Tara, and you can contact the show with comments or questions through our email at tapthecraft@gmail.com or on Twitter and Instagram. Just follow us at tapthecraft. And Chris loves to interact with you on Facebook at facebook.com/tapthecraft. And we do have a website, so visit our website at tapthecraft.com. Okay, Chris, let's continue the conversation because now it's time to untap the craft and see what our listeners are drinking according to Untapped.
A lot of things,
A lot of
apparently.
things. Okay, now Steve, Florida Steve, has been checking into like 40 beers this weekend, so don't go crazy with Florida
Well,
State.
you know, the check-ins on Untapped, this is from the last 24 hours. And the first one I'm going to be starting with is from 6 hours ago to give you kind of an idea. So y'all started drinking, I don't know, 2:00 my time. But it's funny enough, the first one I'm going to read is a gentleman in California, as his friends might know him as Robert Milanez. I hope I've remembered that last name.
Right.
But we know him as Chew Your Beer. And he checked in about 6 hours ago to a beer called Siren by Pure Project Brewing. He said, I was first in my community to untap this beer.
Just his tagline.
Yeah. First, just the way I like them. Piney, citrus, and not sweet. 5 cap rating for that beer. And it's funny because if I look at it, 6 o'clock or 6 hours ago, my time would have been 2. So it would have been 11 o'clock. I mean, he at least waited till it was still, brunch time to get into that. Next check-in is going to be from the Gnarly Gnome. He's drinking a Wally Pop hard soda.
Okay.
Orange flavor by March 1st Brewing.
That's in Untapped?
It is. So I had one. Joel, you drank a seltzer with me the other day.
I didn't report it.
I did.
Oh.
I didn't, and I was like, I don't like seltzers.
Some people continue to make bad decisions and other people learn.
And I learn from them. I really do. Anyway, he said, I didn't want to like it, but I like it a lot. Super sweet. My only criticism is that I wish it had higher carbonation, but damn, it's tasty. And I'm with him. There's some of them that pop up and I'm just like, I don't want to like this, or at least admit that I do, but it's still pretty good.
My kids literally just asked me, like, don't they make like soda with alcohol in it? And I'm like, there was this thing called Not Your Father's Root Beer, but the other stuff kind of failed. And here we are, not 3 days later, and somebody checked in. Orange soda, hard orange soda.
Look, so
okay.
We went out to dinner the other night and somebody got a Budweiser product that is hard soda.
Wait,
it's like, running rampant in my house.
That's what it's called?
Yeah, it was hard soda. It was.
I know. What is it?
It was a Budweiser lemon lime soda. But and of course, when I went to Publix to go grocery shopping today, I had to get hey, if you see it there, can you pick it up? So we've got the cola flavor, we've got lemon lime, we've got cherry, and we've got orange.
Is it called Bud Light soda? Like
hard soda. Bud Light hard soda.
Are you going to chug one on air
tonight?
No, Danny, how dare you?
That's a Fermented Reality beer cast.
I know, but I'm licking the side of.
All right, next on the list. Continuing on, Jeff Seiler is drinking a Death to All but Mosaic by Magnanimous Brewing.
Oh.
All the way in North Carolina. He said, yeah, look at that. He said, I love Mosaic hops and this is delicious. So glad I can now get Magnanimous beer. Love them all.
There we go.
That's because Charlie knows how to spot.
Well, he's in and around the
spot.
He's in and around the in the Asheville area. So I mean, if you're going to put it anywhere, that's a great place to go.
Charlie's just not against moving his beer a little bit out of the zone to get it recognized.
And Charlie, I sent you an email a few days ago, dude. I need to hear something, please. Anyway, he's also drinking this beer out of his B cups as well. He gave it 4 1/4 caps for this beer. My buddy Jameson. Denny, my buddy Jameson.
We were chatting earlier.
Yeah, he so Joel, the lights that I sent you the picture of came from my buddy Jameson here. And Jameson was in Vegas with Denny and I a few years back drinking some beers. And he's drinking the Ocean IPA by Ocean Lab Brewing Company, and just gave it a simple 5 cap rating for this beer. I don't see him check into a whole lot, but he's currently in Puerto Rico drinking some beers.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is that, I think he's in Puerto Rico. So,
Ooh, this is
Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Go to Panama. I hear it's hotter.
Let's go.
Continuing his check-in streak for the 18,447th show in a row, Chad Lamassa is drinking a beer that I would love to get a hold of called Hans Shot First.
Is there a comment that like Hans, like, give me a shot first? Like, Or
It's
no?
a Star Wars.
Yeah.
Well, like Hans shot first. Like
Yeah,
Hans shot first.
Hans
Yeah.
shot first.
But this is by Calvert Brewing Company. He said, I bought this entirely because of the name and can art. I love Star Wars and Die Hard. Oh, so Hans Gruber shot first. Even better. It's a
yeah.
great German style pills, crisp and refreshing, 4.5 caps that he gave for that one. What's the other one that I hear of a whole lot of that that it's somebody shot first? Han shot first, I think is the name of it.
yes, the Han Solo beer.
Yeah.
But then isn't that what
we did, but this
it's
is Hans. Like Hans
like
Gruber.
The Hans.
Hans
Oh.
Gruber shot first because this is a collabor here. Well, here.
Okay.
I'll get that pulled up while we're looking at it. But if you go into
I mean, this is like a double meaning beer name can thing that I am like I need to have.
This it's pretty
I'm
cool.
a huge Die Hard's my favorite movie.
I mean, that's a
Hans
cool
Gruber.
can. I would buy that first,
and it's got the
did.
Star Wars. It got the Star Wars art type font.
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah.
Right?
I would have bought that on the label alone, just like he did.
Oh yeah, me too.
So Han shot first was the beer that he gave. He gave it. What is it? A 5 cap rating that I saw on that one? Because
nice.
And he's got some other Star Wars themed beers as well. But we're going to roll on through the rest of these. Jeff Seiler, again, is drinking a double dry hop King Sue by Toppling Goliath.
Shit.
Absolutely amazing beer. Yeah, I'm almost speechless. This just might be a new beer on my personal Mount Rushmore of malt beverages. Wow. 5 cap rating for that beer for Mr. Seiler. Next on the list, Jeff Weesey is drinking a Lateralis chocolate malt by Lupulin Brewing Company. Thick, rich mouthfeel with a big malty chocolate finish. Cheers. Another 5 cap rating for our listeners' check-ins today. I'm skipping through all my woven water check-ins from a couple hours ago. And Chad Lamassa is also drinking a Wookiee Imperial Cream Ale by Calvert Brewing Company, another Star Wars reference, and another can art pickup. This is fantastic. Coffee and cream. Go read the description for this beer if you're a Star Wars fan. It's funny. And he gave it a 5 cap rating on that beer as well. And the description, we find your lack of beer disappointing. Drink this majestic walking carpet and prepare to battle for the future of the rebellion. You guys can go read the rest of it because I don't have time to today. Let's see. Scrolling up to the next one. Bill Schlemmer is drinking a Milwaukee Record Reporter by Company Brewing. Wonderful porter with a lot of character, subtle chocolate and coffee notes, and just a hint of cinnamon. 4.5 caps for that beer. Let's see. Matt Knight, he had to get one in there too. He's drinking a Scotch ale, beer that tastes like beer. Some of my favorites.
There you go.
By Big Ditch Brewing Company. He said, a bad pour, but a tasty reward for me getting rid of my ice dams tonight.
Ooh.
I'm sure your roof will thank you, and so will your gutters. 3 3/4 caps for that beer, but if we're bringing up ice dams and stuff, let's get on it. Denny, that's what everybody's drinking, and he tagged you and I in that check-in as well.
That was quite a list there. I decided I need to see a picture of Chad's collection because if he's collecting all these cans, I need to see what he's got.
And you know what? I agree with you because if he's collecting these things and not doing anything with them, Chad, listen, buddy, you and I are going to have a little conversation so that I can maybe get a hold of those cans or at least the stickers on them because there's the other one. So when we get this project behind me rolling.
Oh, it's Wokey.
Yeah, it's Wokey. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I get it.
I probably said because it's got
coffee reference.
Yeah.
Oh, it's even better.
Stay wokey.
Oh, stay wokey. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Well, thank you, Chris. That was fun. I enjoyed that. Now, I mentioned a few episodes ago that I wanted to start adding a very brief segment that just talks about a term that Chris and I and now Joel to this episode, we might talk about that anyone that hasn't been listening from day one and hasn't heard us explain it in the past may be wondering, what does he mean by that word? And this segment's called Beer Speak 101, where we briefly define a common and some not so common beer terminology. In this episode, we will explain what it means when we talk about adjuncts, because we might be mentioning adjuncts in our next segment. So in brewing, adjuncts are unmalted grains such as corn, rice, rye, oats, barley, and wheat, or grain products used in brewing beer which supplement the main mash ingredients, which is usually malted barley. This is often done with the intention of cutting costs, but sometimes also to create an additional feature, such as a better foam retention, some extra flavors, or nutritional value, or even as an additive. So in general, anything added to the brewing process or fermentation process outside the standard malt, hops, yeast, and water can be considered an adjunct. So there you go. Short and simple, just to give you guys an idea that when you hear the word adjunct in the next segment, that you'll know what we're talking about. Okay, guess what time it is? It's
it beer time?
For beer time. It's time for beer. Yeah,
it's always time for beer.
Of course, Joel just poured a nice big beer before we open the next. We're going to be opening a beer here shortly, so I hope you're ready for that Lagunitas.
This is another fest beer. This is Jeff Bagby and Magnanimous. So I had
he did. They did a collaboration.
That's why it's called Magnanimous. Get it?
Even better.
Gotcha.
See what they did there?
Yes.
And Jeff's coming to Tampa. We're having a Lagerfest in Tampa. Did you know that?
Okay. What? No.
Barriehaus. Oh, Barriehaus is putting on a Lagerfest, and Jeff Bagby's coming for the Lagerfest.
Okay. You know what? I need Chris to get on the news, the Florida news.
I wish he would.
News.
He's slacking, Denny.
Listen,
He's slacking.
I'm excited more about the Brewers Ball coming up.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Tampa Bay Beer Week is just a couple of weeks away.
Denny, when are you flying here?
But here's the other thing.
Keep asking you this.
There's no Hunapoo Day.
Oh, they're not having it this year.
They're releasing the beer, but there's no beer festival.
There's no day. I was trying to, Yep. I was trying to get something together for that day. It's a shame.
It's a different world.
I don't know. Maybe it is, but I don't know. It's Florida. This is the land of who gives
the land of COVID.
That's true. Okay, well, hey, let's get back on track. So, as I was saying, it's time for the Brew Buzz. That's what we're getting ready to start.
All right.
And the Brew Buzz is devoted to discussing various beer-related topics. And this week, as we already mentioned, we will be doing a Lagunitas brewing segment and tasting notes with their unrefined Shugga Strong L.
Does that mean I need to go get mine?
Yeah. Joe, go get it.
And you might need a separate cup too.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
I shouldn't just blend it? Maybe I should blend it.
Just chug the first one, and then you'll be fine.
Yeah. So, we're going to be discussing the unrefined Shugga, and we are going to also be talking about the sugar that they are using as the adjunct in this beer to give it the unrefined sugar portion. Oh man, I just locked up my. Okay, there we go.
Oh, we're back.
The focus,
you gotta flick
all of a
it.
sudden,
Remember?
the focus. I had to just click it a little bit, and it comes back. So now I need to get back and do a video of when it sticks, and then click it. And
I have a video of it sticking twice.
I don't know if that counts, but
well, sometimes you just need to do what I like to call some percussive maintenance.
Yes, that is a light tap. So I need to reopen the ticket and say, yeah, it's the autofocus, and it's when I bump it slightly, it unfreezes. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with the Brew Buzz. And first, I just want to explain that why we're doing this tasting and why are we talking about this sugar. Well, we were approached by Brandon Gerson, and he is the managing partner of Dulce, a manufacturer of unrefined sugar used in the beer that we will be tasting tonight. And he was contacting us through email, and in his words, he told us that, quote, "I love your raw, honest reviews and educational commentary. and he offered to send us the beer and his sugar so that we, could talk about it on the show. Go ahead and taste the beer, taste the sugar, and give us our honest opinion on it. So Brandon also stated in the email that I want to watch you give your sincere opinion. Naturally, I'm confident and proud, but I have no desire to influence what you say. He continued to add that I'm not asking for any canned pitch, just information sharing, however you want to do it. So we agreed to
Enclosed
this.
is your $20 bill.
Yeah, no money was passed. Just a beer and a bag of sugar and our honest opinion. And so that's what we have planned today for our Brew Buzz segment. So let's get started with the beer tasting. So we can go ahead and we can start to drink this beer as we go through the other content. So I see Joel is already doing a great job of pouring his beer into his
Snifter style.
snifter glass. Yeah, a little snifter glass. I
Trillium
am
glass.
not going to use a snifter. I'm going to pour it into this Lagunitas branded mason jar cup
Oh, excuse the hell out of me.
that we got.
Humble brag.
Actually,
that
If
we
I could-
got when we were in visiting Lagunitas.
if I could take my camera over to the window, you'd see my Lagunitas flag flying outside by my pool.
What a great color on that beer.
Yeah.
Yes, the color is very nice, right? Nice. Let's
Yeah.
talk about it, Joel. What do you see?
Caramel.
Yeah, caramel,
All day.
honey. It's definitely like
honey.
a nice honey,
Like a wildflower
rich,
honey.
Wildflower honey, like a real rich one, not that light honey you see.
Not that amber stuff.
Yeah, this is a nice caramel colors. I love it. It's got a red hue to it. Beautiful beer.
Mm-hmm.
The head, slightly like cappuccino.
Actually, real
I mean,
fluffy,
froth.
right?
Yeah, it's very frothy.
dense too.
It's very dense. It has some coarse and some fine bubbles in there. It sticks around pretty good too.
Good thing I put my pants back on.
I'm also seeing that there's lots of bubbles coming out of this beer, so it's got some bubbly action too.
But I also like too that the bubbles on the side can be they're a little bigger, but the ones I see on top are really dense and creamy.
Yeah, super dense. Nice camera action, Chris. You can really that's good. We're getting all kinds of views of this beer.
You want to see what we can do it under here?
So
No,
anyone not watching live on Facebook, hey, you're missing out because this is fun. We enjoy doing these tasting segments, and it's nice that we're going to have 3 different opinions of what we get from this beer. So
It's too
now
cold.
yeah, it is a little cold. We're going to need to warm up a little bit. So what we can do is we can first just talk about real briefly. We talked about the color, the effervescence. It does have some good bubbles coming up. The head looks nice. It is a off-white, slightly like a cappuccino head on there from a cappuccino froth. Very very fine bubbles, and
It's
now
also
just-
10%.
It's 10%. So let's take a smell, and let us know what you smell in this.
I smell COVID.
No COVID in this. Now this this has
Smell
got
sugar.
it's got a nice sweet aroma, and it's like a light, like a light candied, like what you smell like on a candied apple or something like,
Yeah.
or something like that, right?
It's that candy sugar thing.
Yeah, it's like a candied sugar. It smells beautiful. I mean, honestly, the aroma on this thing is really good. And it smells, you know what? It also smells like it is a strong ale.
I didn't
Little-
cheat at all. I'm
a
still
little-
smelling.
Okay. So
So good.
we're gonna let we'll let Joel keep sucking down some suds. We're gonna let ours warm up a little bit. Let's go ahead and talk about the Unrefined Sugar Strong Ale brewed with whole cane sugar. It's part of their one-hitter release series of beers by Lagunitas Brewing. And originally, this is what they said on the website here. It says, originally, a curious mistake that resulted in an all-new beer style that we like to call irresponsible. We've upgraded this sweet release with an addition of whole cane sugar for a delightfully unrefined experience. And I've already, like, when this beer first got released a couple months ago, I bought a 4-pack as soon as it was released. And because I hadn't had the brown sugar, which was the original beer, for a while, they stopped making it. And I was very kind of concerned because I loved that beer. It was a beer that wasn't released like every year. It was like every 2 years it was released, but everyone really counted on that beer and loved it. And we'll talk about a little thing later on. I've mentioned Lagunitas so much in this podcast, and anyone who's listened for a while knows that, that especially before they got picked up with, from with Heineken, I was a huge fan of Lagunitas. I've been to their brewery. I've got their shirts. I got a couple shirts I wear all the time. I got a cup. I got 2 or 3 cups of different styles that I use. I love Lagunitas, and I love brown sugar. So when I heard that this new version of it was coming out, I had to pick up a 4-pack, and I did make a comment on the show about the fact that I was comparing it mostly to what I was tasting with brown sugar to what I have the new one, and there is a distinct difference between the 2 beers. So that was my comments that I made, a couple months ago in an episode of it. I did drink all 4 beers. I enjoyed them. I enjoyed it, but it is a strong ale. And it is a 10% strong ale, and it is made with sugar, whole cane sugar, and it does come across a little bit boozy. So you got to keep that in mind. If you're going to get a 4-pack of this, be prepared that it's going to be a strong ale, and you're going to want to drink this followed by a double IPA. Just to let you know. And that's why I have a double IPA after this beer.
It's definitely the nice side of boozy, right?
Yeah,
it's like,
no.
it's not, this isn't
It's nice.
uncomfortable. And it's definitely 10%, but it's really nice, and it's got that really strong malt thing going on that is, and just to support you as a guy from outside Tap the Craft who didn't get paid by the sugar guy. Lagunitas makes great beer. They make great, they've been making great beer forever, and I don't care who bought them. I don't care what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
The last time that I went there in Chicago, I thought that these guys were living the dream. The Lagunitas, that they were all stoned. They all looked like, they had a rough night. It was like, they're all cool as shit. Like, it doesn't matter who owns them. They don't fire anybody. They just keep the old guard in, and it's the same atmosphere that it always was. It's really great over there.
Yeah, no, they do make some good beer. So let me continue on a little bit here. So the style, Unrefined Sugar, is the winter warming holidays barley wine, clocking in at 10% ABV. It's chock full of malted barley, malted wheat, Munich malt, crystal malts, and generously dry hop with Simcoe, Columbus, Cascades, and Centennial hops. Unrefined Sugar gets its name from the addition of whole cane panela sugar. It's basically the holidays in a glass. Sticky clean. The raw sugar makes you think this beer would be cloyingly sweet, but the fermentation dries it out, leaving a super clean finish that makes you want to take another sip. Dank hop. Some classic C hops bring this dank layering over molasses flavor, or this dank layer.
He's had 2 before the show.
Yeah. So some classic C hops bring the dank layering over molasses flavors, melding into something super unique. Molasses. The Unrefined Sugar brings over all the flavor of raw cane sugar, including what goes into the making molasses. Slightly smoky, slightly apple, slightly vanilla, slightly spicy, slightly savory, makes this beer really well-rounded. And what Lagunitas likes to do is they like to write around their, if you look closely, you can see they have words around the label. And here's what those words say on this label, since you can't really read that from my camera. Now I say, old dog, that what I'm hearing is simply preposterous. Something as cultured as a brewery yeast being fed whole cane sugar? It's pure poppycock, malarkey, flappadoodle, humbuggery, codswab, hogwash. There's so much drive, prattle, babble, taradiddle, rubbish, fiddle-faddle, jiggery-pokery, hooey,
it says less than that on my bottle, but
yeah.
Buckham, foolery, horse feathers, baffle, whistle, hornswallow, mumble jumble. It's downright straight up. I can't even say that word. It's
I
too
still
long.
like poppycock.
Yeah.
It's just trash, and I won't have it. Well, Give it here like a good lad and let me taste this ludicrous liquid. How unrefined. Perhaps you should call us with your sesquipedalian synopsis. And they give you your phone number. Cheers. Yeah, there's more. That was more than what's on here, but I
They give my
thought it
phone
was
number?
funny.
Yeah. So it's 813. No, I was kidding.
Okay, so now that I just read all this stuff, I'm going to take some sips. Why don't you guys? I know Joel, you have already been tasting this. I was wanting this to warm up a little bit because I know if it's too cold, it definitely is a little sharp to begin with, and you don't want to have that sharpness. So I'm letting mine warm up a little bit. But why don't you go ahead and talk about some of the flavors you're getting from this?
It's funny you said the word sharp. I was going to say the same thing when it's cold. The beer actually, my beer's relatively warm. It's a little round. It's not that round, right? Because it's not, it's definitely, the spike is on alcohol, right?
Yeah.
Number one, that's the first thing that spikes up. The second thing that spikes up is this, I want to say roasted sugar. Like, is that the right term? It's almost like caramelized, right?
It's like
it's
a
almost like a
sugar. Yes, that's exactly
but
right.
but the longer I let it, so I just had some and then I let it roll, and I really get that Maillard effect, right? Like I'm really getting that thing on the
That
back of the mouth, like
caramelization.
after you have a nice big chunky piece of black steak, right? Like you had this charred piece of steak, and then you stop, and it's that kind of lingering bitter. Boy, that's good. This beer, brown Shugga in general is amazing. This is an amazing version of an already amazing beer.
Oh, we had Jeff Seiler. He said unrefined Shugga is delicious, strong, boozy, and delicious. It's surprisingly crushable for such a big beer. And he said, well done. And kind of like that on like what Joel said, there's that you get that first hit. It's kind of that boozy alcohol hit in the beginning. Very, but to me, it's kind of like, it's nice. I like it up front. And then you get that,
it's not too much.
That, like you said, that caramelization or that caramelized sugar flavor, and almost to the point where it's almost burnt bitter, but it's just before that. And then I definitely get some of those that hop bitterness in the back too, which also was probably one of my favorite parts when I poured this. I mean, I poured it, and I mean, what is left in my glass, this was all head, right? And I was like, oh man, I poured this like an absolute rookie on Facebook Live. But it was really cool to see because you started to smell the head, and it was that dank, resinous, hoppy smell. And I was like, these guys are talking about caramel apples and stuff, and I'm not getting that. But then as the head started to dissipate, it really started to come in. And as you guys are talking, I'm just sitting here smelling this beer, and I'm like, come on, Denny, shut up. I want to chase this thing already because it smells really good.
It's so good.
It does smell good. It does. It's interesting. I always considered this a strong ale, but they mentioned in the description that it's a barley wine, and I'm getting more of an American barley wine now that I'm drinking this. It definitely has that right up front, in your face, big malt booziness that you're saying, that you do have that hit that quickly turns into like a whatever you said with the caramelized sugars coming out in the flavor. But what's interesting is as it goes through the whole palate, I start to think, and maybe it's just subconscious because I just got done reading, slightly apple, slightly vanilla. I get these same characters in my head as I'm drinking it. I can get a little savoriness to it. I can get, a little bit of
poppycock.
A little poppycock in there. I get a
It's just the right size. Don't call it little.
And I'm going to say this too. Like I said, I drank 4 bottles of this, and as I went through each one, I grew a bigger appreciation for it as I went through it. Now, going and waiting another month and a half or whatever since I've had one, and this is the first one I've had since I had the original 4, sitting down with you, the two of you, drinking this beer, letting it warm up, I am enjoying this more than I did originally, because I think the problem originally is I thought it was going to be brown sugar, and it wasn't. And that's what pissed me off, is like, why did you change it up when brown sugar was so good? Well, now I understand why they changed it up, because this is a version of brown sugar that steps down some of the richness that the brown sugar has, because the brown sugar definitely had a more like a richness to it, that I get richness to this, but not as much, right? I think the flavors from the sugar are more subtle, and it does have those, that caramel flavor, but not as much, but still very enjoyable. And I would say I would classify this as a barley wine. I think it's actually a American barley wine style that I can really appreciate, to be honest with you.
I agree. It's definitely bitter enough to be called an American barley wine.
I almost feel like we did ourselves a disservice by reading all those descriptions before we started tasting it.
Yeah, well, probably, but it's okay. It's good to, I mean, this is what they came up with, and it helps us, because this is not an easy beer to define, right? There's a lot going on with it, and because there's so much malt and that extra sugar in there, and I wouldn't be, when I drank the other ones, I hadn't had the adjunct sugar that we're going to talk about here in a minute. And maybe that is swaying me as well, because now that I know what the sugar tastes like, I can taste that in the beer. It's not just that I have a beer that's not like what I wanted. It's now a beer that has something that I do appreciate as well, and I can taste the influence that it has in the beer. So maybe I am a little bit appreciating this a little bit more than I did the first time. I mean, I didn't give it a bad rating when I had it the first time. I think I gave it a 4 cap rating or something like that. I mean, that's not bad, but brown sugar was a 5, I think probably a 5 cap rating, if I remember correctly, because I love that beer. I drink a ton of that stuff. Okay, what are we missing? Finish wise, I have to agree, definitely not cloying whatsoever. There's no sweetness left over in this thing. The hops do a fantastic job of cutting the sweetness. I do get, I would say that if anything, I get a layering of bitterness in the back of my tongue, in the back of my mouth.
And I swear it's like Vegemite. You ever have Vegemite? It's a really strange question to ask an American.
I haven't had Vegemite, but what does Vegemite taste like?
Vegemite is like, and I would love for someone to chime in on this in the comments or something who's had it. To me, Vegemite is literally like it's my artifact. It's like, it's almost like they took that charred stuff on the steak, the black stuff, and then made it into, like, put it in a jar, and then you just scoop it. Like I don't even know how to explain it. We had what were these things that we had? Oh no, they have the worst name too. Okay, hold on.
Okay. Well,
I got to get the name right. It's almost racial. Like if I get the name wrong.
Okay.
No,
please
really.
It's research.
This UK snack. Anyway, it's a UK snack, and it has, I didn't really understand what this flavor was. And then somebody was like, oh my God, this is just like Vegemite. Like it's a pure my artifact flavor is what I'm saying.
okay. All right. Well, while you think about that, Joel, we're now that we've had the beer, I'm really enjoying this. Is everyone enjoying this beer, or is it too much?
No, and
It's a lot.
well,
It's a lot.
it is.
You're not going to drink more than one, right? This is like a one and done until next night, right?
Okay, these are called Twiglets, just for anyone who's
Okay, thanks, Joel.
Twiglets. This is what I remembered. No, so we had a German shop that was right next to the bottle shop, and they closed before the bottle shop closed. They closed. It was a Euro deli, and they would sell Weißstefan and all the beers, and then they would have cool Euro sandwiches, and they had Twiglets, and it's a UK thing, and it has this for anyone who's from the UK or has ever had these things. They have that same flavor.
Okay.
Twiglets. Jacob's Twiglets. I don't know how to make I don't know how to make this up.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Okay.
Just so everyone knows that.
And it's a 4.5 star
make that up.
rating too. That's good
It's one of
stuff.
those things that, like, What is
Okay,
it? Aziz
so
Ansari says it could be racist if you say it the wrong way, right? All you gotta do is say it the wrong way.
Good call. Good call.
okay, well, now that we've had the beer, we've enjoyed the beer, we've explained the flavors of what's in the beer. Let's talk about the sugar that helped make this beer. So the sugar adjunct used in Lagunitas unrefined sugar is dulce, a raw organic unrefined sugar, also known as panela, which means brown sugar loaf in Spanish. Dulce is produced in Medellin, Colombia, on a small farm using
Oh,
organic.
Pablo.
Yeah, Pablo Escobar.
Medellin.
Medellin, Colombia.
On a small farm using organic sugarcane, not sugar beets like most sugar produced in the U.S. It is non-GMO, vegan-friendly, USDA certified organic, gluten-free, and even kosher certified. Yes, they paid the rabbi and got the
L'chaim.
kosher certified. So what makes Dulce Panela different from traditional processed sugar and even the other raw sugars you might be using? So Dulce Panela comes from sugarcane. It is an unrefined sugar that goes through a fraction of the processing when compared with common white, brown, and turbinado sugars. Panela is produced on sugarcane farms in small batches via a simple process of concentrating and pulverizing freshly extracted sugarcane sap. The entire process consists of washing, crushing to extract the sap, and then kettle cooked, air dried, pulverized, sieved, and then finally packaged. The raw sugarcane sap is a viscous liquid. Wow, I shouldn't be drinking these 7.7 and 10% beers. This is killing me.
Popped off by a 10%.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. The raw sugarcane sap is a viscous liquid that retains vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that are intrinsic to the cane grass, a vigorous plant. It is a natural balance of sucrose, glucose, and fructose. It has a rich, earthy caramel flavor.
Sounds like my senior prom.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so now we explained how this sugar is made. Let's compare it with how, everyone's saying, well, what's wrong with my regular sugar? What's so wrong with that? Well, common white sugar is made by separating the sucrose crystals from the glucose and fructose in large centrifuges at rapid speeds. It is then processed with stabilizers and bleach to give it the color and texture. The removed glucose and fructose is then further processed with additives to create molasses, which can then be added back to refined sucrose to create brown sugar. So
give you guys a quick idea.
look at that.
This is a lot different than what you see coming out of your Domino sugar bags.
Yeah.
And it's not very consistent in shape or size or anything like that. And admittedly, that's part of it. I opened this bag up originally and I was like, what is in here?
Yeah. So Chris, just so for reference, I mean, do you use before this?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of sugar is normally in your house? Is it white granulated sugar, or do you
Usually,
use raw
yeah.
sugar?
So we'll, depending on what we're doing, if we're just if we're making coffee in the morning, sometimes we'll use Splenda, sometimes we'll use regular sugar. It just depends on people's goals for that.
You seem like a Splenda guy. I was going to say that.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to use it a lot because I'll enjoy a couple of cups of coffee throughout the day, and if I'm putting a bunch of just regular sugar in my coffee, I mean, it seems to have the opposite effect of what you would look for in a cup of coffee. I get that sugar spike, and then I just, it doesn't really help out. Yeah. Okay. So I'm normally going to have Splenda because when I take sugar out of a container and put it into something, it's usually coffee. That's what we're going to use for the most part. But if we're doing anything baking wise, or if we're adding it to food to prepare something, it's going to be just regular granulated sugar from, a 5 or 10 pound bag.
Okay. Did you happen to use this in your coffee?
I did. I actually used it this morning. So I've used it in a couple of different applications. We made sweet potatoes the other day. So we had roasted sweet potatoes, And instead of using things like brown sugar or maple syrup to add to the roasted sweet potatoes, I put this on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked it because one of the things that I love about this sugar specifically is that it's not so sweet, right? You take that regular granulated sugar and you put it on your tongue. It's just this immediate, like, extreme sweetness.
Mm-hmm.
And this is almost subtle. And it has a lot of different flavors to it. So not only do you have the different minerals and things in the sugar that are going to add different flavors and different mouthfeels to the sugar itself, but you also have a sweetness that's kind of backed up with, well, what most people would know from molasses, right? There's if you smell this sugar, there's a very it's almost earthy.
It's earthy.
It's
exactly
earthy, but I get like almost smells of like tobacco, leather, stone fruits.
Nice. Leather, yes.
Those kind of smells out of it. And it's
Stone
one of those things where, just like I was sitting over here smelling my beer over and over again, I was waiting for my coffee to finish, and I was taking this and I was just smelling the sugar over and over again this morning. But in the coffee, it was nice because it sweetened the coffee, but it also allowed those flavors to stand out from the coffee too.
So, wow, great descriptors I've been trying for weeks to come up with some descriptors to describe this. Earthy for sure. Leather I didn't think of, which you're right. Maybe a hint like of leather. What was the last one you said that
Tobacco.
Tobacco is exactly the other one I was trying to think of. So
I get that from this beer.
You get some tobacco in there? Yeah, you nailed it, Chris. You totally you sold it on. So Chris does use some sugar every day. And I've mentioned on the show many times, I do not like sweet things. I do not add sugar to anything normally, except for cream of wheat. And when I do cream of wheat, I mentioned before we started the show is that, cream of wheat is so dang bland. You have to add something just to make it, edible. And so I usually add a little bit of brown sugar just to give a little bit of sweetness in there. But because it's brown sugar, it's so sweet, and we use organic brown sugar, so we use the better brown sugar that we could get before. But I have to add something in there. Now, oatmeal, I add bananas, and bananas adds the sweetness to the oatmeal. So I don't have to add anything else because bananas give me a sweetness, and it's enough sweetness that it's acceptable. But we did use this in the last 3 weeks that I've had it. We've used half the bag. My wife does use some sweeteners. Usually she'll use whatever the stevia. She uses stevia typically. But then when we cook, we usually use raw sugar. I don't like raw sugar typically because it's like ultra sweet. This is not, like you mentioned, is not overly sweet. It's a very subtle sweetness with a lot of flavor that's like, it's a little bit a step down from what I would say would be a light brown sugar flavor, but it has some really good characteristics to it. After using this for a few weeks, we also, you mentioned sweet potatoes. We put it on our sweet potatoes. Fantastic. We use it on some scones that we made. Really good for a sugar topping on scones. I mixed it into some strawberries for some strawberry pancakes just to give a little bit of sweetness. The flavor really worked well with the strawberries. I wanted to make what I really wanted to do with this, which I didn't have time before the show, is I wanted to use it as a simple syrup to add to a mixed drink. I think that this would really work well with a mixed drink because someone's calling me.
That's interesting, Denny.
Yeah. Or even like a rimmer for the glass.
Yeah. A rimmer to a thing. So I'm not a sweet guy. This is the perfect sugar.
Your wife was telling me all. Anyway,
this is a perfect sugar for someone that's not really like a lot of sweetness in their stuff. So I talked to my wife before I came up. I said, okay, we've used this sugar for 3 weeks. What is your opinion? And she says, and this is her honest opinion, she says, we're not going to buy anything besides this and her stevia. She's also used stevia because I don't know, she's a stevia person, but when we do add stuff to, into things, I think we're sold that this is a fantastic sweetener.
So this is at the grocery store.
It's you can get it on Amazon actually.
Oh,
okay.
And
I was gonna say
I'm
we're
not
actually
sure if it's-
posting a link on it. Well, I'm posting a link on our Facebook right now because you can find it on Amazon. I don't know
they
if
have
it's
a store. I'm gonna talk about the link to the store.
I don't know
Because
if
you
it's
can
available.
you can actually save money by using our discount code as
Yep.
well.
So if you go onto so is this going to be through the Amazon?
Yeah, it's through Amazon.
So there's a promo code through Amazon.
Yeah,
Okay,
15 Tap Craft.
got it. I'm posting that on our facing book right now.
But you got ahead of us. Okay, so we just talked about it. I really, again, I don't like sugar. I don't put sugar on anything. I like this. It's now my brown sugar replacement. It's a 1-for-1 replacement for white or brown sugar or turbinado. It can be used in food, beverage applications. I'm just going to read some stuff here. It says, smell it unlike any common white or brown sugar that has no smell, including sugar in the raw. The Dulce Panela has a nice aroma, and it does have a very nice aroma.
Mm-hmm.
Use it in baking. Use it in sauces. We did use it in some sauce. Sprinkle it on top of fruit and veggies, berries, melon, citrus, Brussels sprouts, squash, yams, yogurt, oatmeal. Make ice cream or cotton candy or popsicles with it. It's great in beverages, cocktails with water and lime to make an agua panela. Some people even make beer with it. Yeah, look at that. Anywhere you want some sweetness. So we just talked about how Chris and I are using this. We've been using this sugar.
Sprinkle it on your husband.
Yeah, yeah. And we told our opinions of it. I don't know. In my household, we're definitely a fan of it. I think Chris, you enjoyed it as well. So Brandon was kind enough to provide us a discount code Tap to Craft listeners can use when ordering from their Amazon storefront. So just go to Amazon.com/Dulce and use the code 15tapcraft at the checkout, and you'll get 15% off your order. This stuff is pretty reasonably. Now, I know if you're getting sugar for, I don't know what regular sugar sells for.
So I give you like a 5-pound bag.
Yeah, for
at the store, $2-3. I don't know.
Yeah.
Inflation ruins everything now, but
Yeah.
like this on Amazon right now, when I looked earlier, it was like $10.
Yeah, it's 10. It was $10 when I looked. So it's
not cheap.
it's not cheap as far as if you want to buy white sugar, but I think
If you want to die, go buy white sugar.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's
no. So
I don't use white sugar. I use he said sugar in the raw earlier.
So
yeah,
so
I use the biggest package of the unrefined sugar that I can find.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's what that turbinado sugar is that Denny you kept bringing up, Denny. So he said turbinado sugar. That's what most people know as sugar in the raw. Which,
yeah.
to me personally, like I've used that in kitchens and stuff. That was what we used to put on our like creme brulee right before you used to, cook that stuff. But like to me personally, that just looks like regular sugar that's just a little brown. Like I think they put it in a special packet and they call it sugar in the raw. Like I guess I don't exactly know, but they just don't bleach it. Like they were talking about.
Skip a few steps.
Yeah. There's definitely a few
it's
steps.
Not perfect. They skip a few steps.
But like, and again, looking at this in comparison to what you guys see in your bag of sugar, to me, this is that multiple steps above as far as a food product goes.
Yeah, there's a video if you go to their the Dulce website, there's a video that shows their process, and it's done like it's done really in a natural way.
Mm-hmm.
Are there oxen plowing the field?
Of course there is.
Yeah, they carry the sugarcane on donkeys.
Of course there is.
Of course there is.
Through the road. So no, it's good. So that's all we're gonna say.
I'm totally joking. Listen.
No, and that's the thing. Like it's good to have some fun about it too. But I also love the fact that they are creating this product and the way that it's made, and it's a sweetener, it's a sugar that actually has some nutritional value to it, at least on the minerals and the mineral side, at least from what I've been reading anyway. So
it's definitely it's a better option, healthier option for you. Not that sugar is ever healthy, but if you're going to do it, why don't you do a healthier option, right?
It's true.
Okay.
No, I agree with you.
So we're going to take a quick break because the beer and the water is coming through me. So I'm going to take a potty break and we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about Lagunitas. So if you guys need to go.
Okay.
Yo, I gotta vent.
Denny can go to the bathroom, or you can hang out for the vent session, whatever you want to do.
Oh my God, I'm so fucking angry right now, Chris.
Go
Holy
on.
shit.
Go on.
I'm listening to my favorite crypto podcast on Friday, the wrap up of the week. And they're talking about NFTs and they start talking about these MFers. And I love this fucking thing. These MFers are like, it's like purposefully awful. The drawings are terrible. Okay. It's a stupid, awful JPEG, but it's an MFer. Like it's like a thing. So they mention it on the show, and the floor for these things when you mention it on the show is like 0.23 ETH, 0.25 ETH, 0.3
fair
ETH.
amount.
Okay. I understand this. You're correct. Okay. I put a bid in for like 0.35, like an idiot. And I put it in for a day and I let it expire, and it expired. And I said, fuck that. I'm going to put it in for a 1 ETH. I want this fucking thing. Guy, I put it in for 3 days, which is really stupid. The floor right now is 1.058. My bid hasn't even expired yet. And the floor is higher than my fucking bid. And I'm like, you motherfucker. I knew this shit was going to be dope. The second they fucking mentioned this shit and I saw this, I'm like, this is dope. I want one so bad. Like, I want to be an MFer. I am an MFer, right? Like, so here's the whole thing, bro. The NFT thing is like a very identity driven thing. Like it's going to be part of your wallet. So your wallet's a public address, and your public address is going to be, you're eventually going to have some kind of a domain name tied to your public address. And somebody's going to want to send you money, and you're going to go send it to chrismckenzie.eth.
Right.
And they're going to go, great. And then when they see your wallet, you can have like an icon for your wallet, for you, for who you are. And it could be, it's an NFT, and it could be it could be an MFer. You could be an MFer. Right. So I'm trying to get a gray MFer with a pipe, and like there's like these, it has these properties. It's stupid. It's dumb. It's totally stupid. Danny, I'm not gonna get the NFT that I want. I'm not gonna get the JPEG that I want, that I already want to pay $3,000 for, and I'm gonna get Danny, it's so stupid.
Did you see what Mark Cuban wanted to do or was doing with Mavericks tickets? Joel?
No.
What's he doing with Mavericks tickets?
So he was, along with your ticket, it would automatically create a wallet for you and put an NFT in there. There you go. You go scan your ticket at the arena, and don't quote me 100% on this, but that was a clip that I saw from him, that he was they were just producing this.
Did I tell you about my NFT Beer Fest?
No. Go on.
You know what? Maybe we can leak this out on the show. I would like to leak this out.
Okay, we'll just wait.
All right, hold on. Let's talk. Let's have a pre-talk. I want to have a pre-talk real quick. Okay, I want you to understand what's going on, Danny.
People are
we're still on.
Well, I won't put it in the podcast.
Well, no, I know, but this is like, listen, there's 5 people. I'm talking about like, I want to like, who's watching live? Seriously, when I say 5 people, like who's watching this live?
So there's still Chris. 5. There's still a handful of us on there.
Jeff and Tara.
All right, cool. Yeah, the base, okay. The core, that's cool. That they can be Enzo. It's fine. There's no such thing as an NFT Beer Fest. Like that doesn't really exist. Here's what I think I want to do. It was going to happen during Tampa Bay Beer Week, and I can't make it happen because what I really want has to be centered around an artist first and foremost, and not just a painting artist. And I do want to have a painting artist there, but I want to have like either a stand-up comedian. Like I was thinking, like if Jeff Ross came and roasted you as you like walk by.
Bert Kreischer from Tampa.
All right, Bert Kreischer, right? There's like people who you could probably get who are going to be entertaining enough that they're going to A, get their own draw, B, be cool enough to whatever. C, I'll tell you the rest later. Okay, so you got comedian, or let's pretend one of my dreams was I could get the Black Keys. Okay,
they were just here.
I know this. So the Black Keys I would love to get, right? They could come and play music. So the point is there's a beer festival, right? And there's
Mhm.
10 breweries. Let's call it 10. Nice round number. The 10 breweries bring the coolest shit that anyone's ever brought to anything ever, as cool as they got. The whole thing costs 1 ETH per ticket. There's only 100 tickets. There's 100 tickets, and that's it.
Okay.
Every ticket you get an NFT of the show, the comedy, or the right whatever happened. You get an NFT of the art. So there's going to be. I'm hoping Will Ralston of the Angry Chair artwork would come and do live while you're there, while you're at the show. He's going to do a piece of artwork that represents the show or whatever the hell he wants. Dude, this guy gets carte blanche, like whatever he wants. That's going to be cool. Yeah. Love that. He's going to create something. So you're going to get a digital representation of that. And we will probably torch the original. Like it'll be this whole thing where your NFT, your 1 of 100 is going to be the only 1 of 100 that exists because this thing doesn't even exist anymore. So you'd have to like print it out and put it on your wall because there is no original, right? It's digital only. So then you do, you brew a beer during the event that everybody comes and puts, all the 100 people put a hop in, or they do, right? They participate in this beer and they get part of this beer. You also get an NFT of the beer label as you leave the show. Trying to think. I think
you're so excited about all this, dude. I'd love to talk to you further about this. I got big
good
plans.
Stuff. I got big plans.
I got so excited about this idea for Joel. I made a mess.
I got big plans.
So
like imagine an angry chair.
Well, no. And like I said, I want to talk to you a little bit more about that. But Denny, let's talk about Lagunitas.
Okay, Chris, I've been chatting up a storm. So let's go ahead and talk about a little history behind Lagunitas Brewing, and I'll let you go ahead and take this on.
So the Lagunitas Brewing Company began on a kitchen stove in Northern California in 1993 and has been crafting hop-forward beers ever since. Welcoming the open-minded with open taps and simple truths, beer speaks for itself. Life is uncertain, don't sip. And it's good to have friends. To quote our brew monster, it's a great name, Lagunitas is made up of all kinds and creeds: punk rockers, misfits, Ivy Leaguers, weirdos, Waldos, sparkle ponies, musicians, and everything in between. Just a pack of stray dogs that found, despite our vast and wild differences, that the love and respect for the freedom to be different is what brought us together and made it all work. Whether we're supporting local communities by turning beer into money for the cause, or simply fueling stories and songs with IPA and other creations, we always have a spot for you at our bar. Come as you are, and bring your dog too.
Yes.
Your little dog too. Yeah. Here's how it all really happened, or at least how we remember it. Heck, we don't remember a lot. So this is at least how we thought it might have gone or something. Little history. It started by Tony McGee in 1993, a rented room behind the old House of Richards in Forest Knolls, California, when he started slinging beers to local watering holes. Started brewing a hoppy India Pale Ale in 1995 called just IPA. Opened a production brewery in Petaluma, California between 1995 and 2005, which expanded a few times during this period and started distribution to other states in 2005. Lagunitas sucks, 2011.
Yes.
When their 250 barrel brew house was destroyed after hitting a storm in the Atlantic, they weren't able to brew their widely feared winter seasonal brew, Brown Shugga. After a flood of calls, they put out a substitute beer for their disappointed fans, named around their common message, Lagunitas sucks.
Which is another great beer.
It is. I mean, it really is.
I think that they couldn't have released a better beer to appease fans like me. I was pissed off that Brown Shugga wasn't there, but then when I saw Lagunitas sucks and had it, I'm like, holy smokes, I'm not pissed anymore. This beer is fantastic. So
Yeah,
I
You
enjoyed
can't
it.
you can't call it sucks unless it's fucking incredible, and that's exactly what they
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
love how they own up to these
Yeah.
obstacles, man. They just, well, hey, we screwed up. We suck. I know. They opened their Chicago brewery in 2014, and then they partnered up with Heineken in 2015. And some highly recommended reading, Tony McGee's book. So, you want to start a brewery? If you want to get a detailed look at the history of the brewery.
Yeah. I own this book. I've read it twice. I love it. It is such a fun read. And if you're a fan of Lagunitas beers, you owe it to yourself to read the backstory behind it. It's really well done. And yeah, that's personal recommendation. That's why I put it there.
And it's
So
also, if you forget about this and you hear it, it's also available on our website that you can find
yeah,
a
you
link
can
to
find
it.
a link. Yeah, find a link there. We don't have our affiliate anymore because not so many people were using it. So they
I was using it a lot, and that's probably what
besides
ruined it.
Chris. Yeah, yeah. Besides Chris.
Right.
Okay, so that is our brew buzz. Anything to add, Joel, about Lagunitas? You have any stories about Lagunitas from the Fermented Reality Beer Garden?
I think my favorite story actually is that they treated me really well before the beer garden. I just had the bottle shop, which
Mhm.
was kind of a nothing burger. And I was going out to Chicago for a different reason.
That's it.
What do you got there, Chris?
Oh,
That's
just
the book.
Audible. Yeah, it's good. I'm putting it. I can't believe it's not there now, but just put it on my wish list on Audible. And
Oh,
while you
gotcha.
guys are talking about that, I'm gonna go get a rag to clean up this mess.
Okay.
I mean,
Ouch. So, I went over there with my dad and my brother for B cups. Oh, look, we can tie in a little B cup story.
There we go.
We're there for the National Restaurant Association show in Chicago, and we got invited to Lagunitas. And man, they treated us like I felt like a prince. And I swear, I don't know. I of course sold Lagunitas beer, but I didn't sell that much beer. Like
Mhm.
they were giving me like employee discount. I'm paying like this huge glass pitcher with the dog on it, right? And
Mhm.
the splash paintball thing, and it's
Yeah.
$2. Like they ring it up and it's $2, and I'm like, I should have bought 10 of these. Like what? What do you mean $2? And my dad's getting the t-shirt and they let me take a 12-pack off the line. So we're watching the line go around the
Mhm.
whole building and blah blah blah. And the guy just literally pulls a 12-pack off and hands it to me. And we went home and drank that thing. And, oh my God. It was so good. Lagunitas IPA, just a standard
Yeah.
West Coast IPA. Absolutely perfect. Really exactly what anyone would love.
Yeah. So I haven't been to the Chicago brewery, but I did go to the Petaluma brewery, and
Ooh.
it's a funny story because the wife and I planned a beercation that was going to be in Northern California, and I had certain breweries I wanted to stop at, and of course Lagunitas and Russian River along the same area was where we were going to stop, and we stayed in Santa Rosa. And so we start the morning off at Lagunitas in Petaluma, and we're going to drive up to Santa Rosa to do the Russian River. And we get there, and I said, okay, we're going to get there for the first. We'll get there early. We'll drink some beer, and then we'll go to the first tour, and then we'll go up to Russian River and finish off the day there, and then stay at the hotel and nearby.
Sure.
I get there and I go in to do the tour. And even though I'm familiar, I read the book, I'm familiar with Lagunitas history. I always like to do brewery tours because that's when you have the opportunity to find out more about stuff that's not known unless you go on a tour.
Yeah.
So I go to signing the tour. I show my ID. He says, "Hey, your license expired 3 days ago or 2 weeks ago." I look at it. I'm like, sure enough, my license expired. I didn't even know 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, well, okay, but you can tell that I'm over 21, right? I don't look like I had the same beard, right? Nothing's changed. I don't look like I'm under 21. It doesn't matter.
A little less gray.
Yeah, no, it was maybe a little bit less gray, but still there was gray in there. But it was like, I was like, well, come on, you can tell it's me. It's expired. It's just, nope, I can't because California law, we've been busted. I'm not taking any chances. So then I go and I say, hey, I came all the way from Idaho to here just for this damn tour. I'm not leaving without a tour. I said, the only other ID I have is my concealed weapons permit, which is not a valid California ID, by the way. I said, can you take this and just show that hey, this is who I am, really me, and my license? So he took it to the manager, came back, and said, okay, we'll let you in.
They were afraid you're going to light them up, bro.
Yeah, I would have been so pissed if they wouldn't let me go on tour. And the tour was fantastic because I got even more backstory that isn't known out in the public, that you don't get unless you go on a tour. And I love the tour. I chat with the people. We drink the beers, and it's well worth it. So, again, I'm a huge fan of Lagunitas. I love their beer. At one point, it was my favorite brewery in the States. That's changed. You know, it rotates around my moods or whatever. But it's still a great beer. And the tour, fantastic. I mean, really, like you said, they treat you well. It's dog friendly. The Petaluma place has an amphitheater for like summertime bands and stuff they have.
That's great.
I recommend everyone go check it out. And now they have a Seattle. They bought a brewery that went out in Seattle, and they have a small line there as well. I went to the website just in getting ready for the show, and I saw that they have beers that I've never heard of that they're serving at that Seattle pub. And now I need to go visit Lagunitas in Seattle so I can just drink the beers that they have in that place as well, because they look at some pretty tasty beers.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so that's so great. That's good. Yeah, Lagunitas is good. So Chris, we're getting late. We're getting long here. Let's finish the show off by talking about our new and noteworthy beers. So what new and noteworthy beers we'd like to talk about
So I'm going to go through mine quick as I usually do, but all three of mine are from the same brewery.
Oh, well, that's quick.
Woven Water.
Okay, so what is Woven Water?
So Woven Water is a brewery that I got to explore with Joel the other day.
Okay.
And I guess, Joel, this is probably the second or third brewery that you and I have gone to, and we're like, we'll just have a taster, one of everything.
I mean, there's two of us there, right? And they
Yeah,
only
that's
have
true.
so many taps. And it's like, I want to try everything that you got. I want to give you a fair shake.
Yeah. And that was, I feel like that when we do that, it always, I mean, it's a little bit of everything. The first one that stood out was going to be their English porter with coffee. So it was called Solace. And it was just, I gave it 4.25 caps for Untapped, but it was just simple, nice, roasty porter with some Jamaican coffee. And it was just really easy to drink. Jay, if anybody ever makes it over to Woven Water, make sure you call Jay, the head brewer. Make sure you call him the brewmaster, because what we found out is that he hates when you call him that.
Yes, don't do that to him.
Yes. Jasmine or Jessica behind the bar, whatever her name was for real, made sure
What?
she called.
She went to Jessica as well.
Well, okay, so
Jasmine.
it was. She said her
Jasmine.
name was Jasmine, but when I saw that ticket pop out of
That's
the
her stage
machine,
name. Yeah.
it said
No,
Jessica.
she said the sister's name was. Come on, she said her name was Jasmine. She said my sister got the worst name, and my sister's name
Sunshine.
was, maybe, yeah, like hippie. Yeah, I think. I don't know if that's worse.
Anyway,
no offense to
moving
anyone
on.
named
No,
Sunshine.
so so the next one I want to talk about is it's their mango raspberry passion fruit fusion, which was basically a fruit smoothie in a glass. I could have had that for breakfast.
So good.
Yeah, 4.5 caps for that one. But man, just a nice, simple smoothie sour. It was just a terrific beer to drink. And my absolute favorite out of all of them, the Outlier, the dark Czech lager.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that beer was so good.
5 caps. I gave it a 5 cap rating.
That beer was silly.
And it was just simple and delicious, and I wanted to continue drinking it. And Denny, all the beers that we had there, this was one of the places where we had this blue raspberry lemonade seltzer, where it was.
Well, that's not, wait a minute. I've never even had a seltzer, but that one might be one that convinced me to have.
Look, for what it was good. It was basically raspberry lemonade soda. It wasn't
Sounds
fine.
Yeah, I like that flavor.
for
though.
what it was tasty but I'm not a huge seltzer person either.
But the raspberry lemonade sour that we both got a crowler of,
Oh yeah, that's
right?
in my
Wasn't
fridge.
that raspberry lemon or blueberry?
No, that was
lemon,
that was the mango raspberry passion fruit that I was talking
Oh.
about.
Okay.
No, we got something.
I'll have to double
you
check just
sure?
to make sure.
Because I just drank it and it was very lemony and very like
well, so
blueberry.
here was the thing. All of the beers that we had there, we tried 12 different beers, and then Jasmine kept going, well, sometimes I like to mix this one with this one, and this one's really good.
Oh,
And then I'll
yeah,
mix these two together. Oh my
Yeah.
God, the
beers.
combinations this girl had, or
good.
they were phenomenal. They were just terrific.
They were
just
good.
Yeah. And every time she was like, well, I like to do this one and this one. And Joel and I would look at each other and go, like,
Let's do it.
really? This is what we're doing? All right. And she'd put two of them in front of us. And we just go,
Exactly.
all right.
Like, this is what we're doing. Like, I guess we're
Uh-huh.
doing this. Like, and she mixed stuff with the Czech lager too, didn't she? Wasn't it like,
Yeah.
right? Am I crazy or?
Danny, they had a couple of lagers on tap. One of the lagers they had was an oat lager.
Mm-hmm.
They had one lager that had like certain type of grapes in it, like it had certain, like almost like it had some wine characteristics to it. They were getting a little silly, and it all worked out really, really well. But I mean, those were the top three that I tried when I was there. But I mean, there was a West Coast IPA that, I mean, he and I both tried, and we went, this is just, I mean, what'd you say? Green. It's reminiscent of Green Flash.
The
Right.
purple bottle,
Mhm.
the West Coast IPA, which might have been a double IPA back in the day, Denny. But you remember these Green Flash
Yeah.
bottles with
Oh,
the
yeah.
purple label?
Yeah.
That's exactly what this beer tasted like. It was so good.
Okay.
It was so
Nice.
good. Oh,
But yeah, I
very
mean,
impressive.
we couldn't help but sing their praises on everything that we tried, even the blue seltzer thing.
Yeah.
Got to
I mean,
appeal to.
it was fine.
No, like I said, it was good. I'm not a huge fan of seltzers, but it was good. So, Woven Water Brewing Company, Tampa, Florida. If you get the chance, go check them out. Jasmine will take care of you. Jay's brewing some amazing beer. I did reach out to Jay and say, hey, I'd love to chat with you guys on the podcast a little bit.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we'll see if he
Let's get
answers.
him on. Yeah. No, if he wants to join us, let's do it. I'd like to hear about his story.
And Denny, I'd love to hear about your new and noteworthy beers too.
Well, you know what? It's just carrying on from last episode. I had some great beers. There were so many. I had to just pick 4 of so many great beers I had in the last couple of weeks. But starting off with Great Notion Brewing, I mentioned a few last episode. I have couple more to talk about. The first one, 5 cap rating for me, Super Duper Ripe Triple New England IPA. Yes, you heard it right. My favorite type of triple IPA, New England style. I said great triple IPA that hides the ABV well, so well actually, and it has depths of flavor that are super ripe. And super ripe is the key word. These are like ripe, tropical, fruity flavors that just like you're eating a super juicy mango and passion fruit and all this stuff. It's really good. Enjoying this with my buddy Alex, because Alex and I were together sharing this beer, 5 cap rating. And then I had another Great Notion beer, and talk about blueberries. Holy blueberry. This is calf and half imperial stout. Let me find this one. Holy smokes, I'm out of order here.
So Joel, while he's looking that up, think about any new and noteworthy beers you might have had in the last few days.
Okay. So what I said about this half and calf imperial stout, holy blueberry coconut. This beer is fantastic. So many great flavors blended very well. 4.5 cap rating. This beer had, of course, Alex and I had a few beers this night. The next morning I woke up and I'm, working out. And as you're working out, you're trying to, getting some bubbles out of your system. I'm burping up blueberry,
Blueberry
and coconut. That's how strong the blueberry and coconut was in this beer. Is that next morning, as I'm working out, burping, I'm just burping up coconuts. It's like coconut and blueberries coming out of my mouth. It was crazy. But hey, great beer, 4.5 cap rating. The next one from our favorite brewery, Belching Beaver.
Mm.
It's their forward motion double barrel aged imperial stout. This is it's a Back to the Future themed beer. The label is great. I don't know where the bottle went. I had it here to show. Oh, you know what? It's back there, I think. But this beer is a bit on the sweeter side. Now, again, I don't like sweet things, so I knocked it down a half cap rating because it was a little bit sweet for me, but not too sweet for me to enjoy because I did enjoy it. The flavors are very complex, rich, and enjoyable. An outstanding beer with barrel character from both the rye and maple bourbon blending well. Thanks, Alex. And Alex brought this one to me for our get-together. I don't typically like things that have maple in it with beer because it tends to be too sweet.
Mm-hmm.
But this maple bourbon barrel was blended very well because it added a little bit of that complex maple character, but not not too much of the extra sweetness. So I enjoyed that. 4.5 cap rating. And the last beer is from pFriem Family Brewers Mexican style chocolate stout. And the key to drinking this beer is let it warm up. If you don't let it warm up, you won't get the flavors. The key is to let it warm and the flavors come out. It's a very sensitive beer. Yeah. So what I said about this one is we let this beer warm up before tasting it, and it really lets out the flavor, really lets the flavors come out. To me, this is a perfect blend of spices for a Mexican style stout, 4.5 cap rating. So all these beers were either 4.5 or 5 cap rating. And again, pFriem does very good brewing that relies on the consumer to enjoy it at the right temperature. If you drank this cold, you would not enjoy it because your palate is being suppressed by your taste buds being frozen, small, and you're not going to get the flavors. Let it warm up, let those flavors come out, and the blending of those flavors is really fantastic. I love pFriem Family Brewers, and this is a great stout. So, okay, Chris, guess what? Oh wait, Joel, did you have any beers you want to talk about?
So I had one beer, and I had it today. It's funny that you mentioned something new. I grabbed it out of my fridge and I got it from Green Bench Brewing Company.
Okay.
This is the Web City Cellar series. So it's a really sour thing. It's a 5.9% thing. It's called Death Rattle. And I believe I'll have to look it up. It had boysenberry in it.
Yeah.
This thing was absolutely sour heaven. I mean, killer. Absolutely unbelievable.
Was that at home?
That was literally at my account. Like when I told you that I was
you
late.
had that nice magnanimous Tiku glass. That's nice.
I do. I got the last one, the one of the last runs. I was like, hey, I want that.
No, I like Magnanimous's label. I mean, I think it's very. I like it. It's unique, simple, but it right when you see it, you know exactly what it is.
They did a good job.
Yeah.
Charlie's dude. The guy's a genius. I'm telling you, this guy's he's crazy good. His beer's crazy good. Anyway, Tiku glass is crazy good. That is a Green Bench beer. That beer, I believe, has, I don't want to call it broad distribution, but I know that there's sour beers like that. They get further than the IPAs and stuff that we get here because they go through. Okay. Oh no, they used to go through Shelton Brothers. I don't know where they go through anymore.
Yeah, Shelton Brothers is broken up, right? They got bankrupt or whatever.
Yeah, I'm looking a little long in the tooth on that comment too. I think that's probably a 36 month ago kind of thing.
Was it that long ago? Maybe you're right. It might be 12 months ago. It might be last year that they.
I hope you're right. Yeah, I feel like I'm late on it, but anyway, they're I've seen this stuff in New England, and anything by Green Bench that comes in a green bottle, you want it.
So I mean, so Green Bench isn't. How far is it away from you guys?
St. Petersburg. It's 30 minutes. I go
30
there
minutes
weekly.
Yeah.
Go there weekly.
And I hear. I mean, it's Green Bench puts out great beer, right?
I mean, Denny, it's yes.
Yeah.
I go to a few breweries every week. Okay, it's just a few. It's just a few. It's
because
it's Green Bench.
You got some free time. You got some free time on your hands, right?
I go to Green Bench. I go to Zydeco. I go to Barriehaus.
Oh, Zydeco too.
I go to Cigar City Cider and Mead. I go to Tampa Bay Brew Co.
Okay.
I
Those
mean,
are your
I would go to
go-tos.
Magnanimous actually more frequently. They sometimes have a food truck. I might be speaking out of turn. They may always have a food truck, but it's like I'm just not in sync with their food. I'm looking for food options, and these
Yeah.
places all generally have food except for Barriehaus, which,
Mm.
man, if you want a great lager,
No, I do. I want a great
geez,
lager.
Denny, you have to come over here. We
No,
will spend a
they were
day
supposed to
at
send me
Barriehaus, and
money,
we will
or
drown
send
in
me money.
beer.
They were supposed to send me beer.
Barriehaus was supposed to send him beer, and so
Yeah,
was
and
Dr. Ken Fauci.
Dr. Ken Fauci said he was going to send me beer too, and never followed through. Damn it.
Mr. Dr. Ken Fauci.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
okay.
Not
One day
Doctor.
they
That's
will.
what it is.
Dr.
It's
Dan
not,
Ken Fauci,
not
yeah.
Dr. Ken Fauci.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that's a problem
yeah.
because
that's
that was
okay.
Junbei who told you that, right?
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
did.
Junbei.
Yep. He
But
told me.
also too, Joel, the beer you were talking about was the blueberry lemon upside down cake was the
Oh,
crowler
no.
that you had.
Thank you.
Oh,
And then there was
damn.
another beer that I totally forgot about that you didn't like that I did, was called Lux. It was an imperial stout aged in rye barrels, conditioned on toasted and raw coconut.
Coconut.
Yeah. And vanilla beans too. It was very
Coconut.
coconutty. But and it was
I believe
like
the beer had coconut in it.
it's like 13.5%. Man, you could just
13.5%.
Denny
Oh my
was huge.
gosh.
And
Wow.
just I didn't like it from like it was a good beer. It's just not my like that's just not
It's
what
too
I'm looking
much.
for. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it was it was a fine beer.
Mhm.
Nothing wrong
Okay.
with it.
Okay, well, hey, let's start to close this thing out. But before we do that, I always want to give everyone a chance to raise a glass. So, Joel, why don't you start us off and raise a glass to anyone, anything you'd like to raise a glass to tonight? And if you want to talk about, I want to. I mean, we never talked about whether how your new venture's going, the trellis, right?
trellis.
Well, that's fun. All right, I'll give a 30-second toast to
30
Trellis
seconds,
because
yes.
I do want to give a toast to Trellis. So a reporter called and asked about what was going on. So I leaked a little bit about Trellis, and Trellis is going to be like 100-seat restaurant in Ybor City on 7th Ave, very close to Zydeco that I frequent on a regular basis. And we will have different food and great beer and wine and liquor and kind of the whole complement of things.
Not a beer garden, though.
This is not the beer garden piece. The beer garden piece is hopefully coming soon. I keep looking. I'm dying to tell people where I'm going to be hanging the sign, right? Like I can't wait for the resurrection of the beer garden. I cannot wait. The trellis thing is sooner. The trellis thing is different. The trellis thing is going to be cool and hip and fun. I want to send a cheers out to trellis and whatever it eventually
There we go. Cheers.
turns into, it's going to be its own thing and we're going to do it. It's being done and hopefully it's going to be open by June. So cheers to trellis.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Cheers to that for sure.
Cheers to trellis.
Sure. Okay, Chris, how about you? What are you going to give a toast out tonight to?
So Joel, I want to raise a glass to you, buddy. Thank you for coming out and hanging out with us. I know it's we get to spend some time with you, and also thank you for the beers the other day. Always a lot of fun. I really appreciate.
Well, that's why I
that
didn't
time.
see you and give me a cheers on the show. Thank goodness.
Well, yeah, it was a setup. It was a setup. And then also to Brandon Gerson for reaching out to us, supplying us with this awesome beer, and then also the awesome sugar, the Dulce. Thank you very much, guys, for setting that up for us. Because man, this was an awesome segment to the show, and I hope you heard all of our praises for the sugar, because it's good stuff.
For sure.
Denny, what about you, sir? Who would you like to raise a glass to this evening?
Yeah, first, the Patreon toast goes out to Mike Allen, one of our virtual producers. Thank you, Mike, for your support. And I mean, we are sorry to hear about your Jeep Rubicon disaster, but at least some beers were saved that were in the Jeep Rubicon, and you got to enjoy those. But cheers to you, Mike, and also Brandon Gerson. Thank you for reaching out to us. We appreciate it. And you know what? You won over a new consumer that really enjoys your sugar, and it gave me a new look at the refined sugar from Lagunitas, and I appreciate this even more now that I got to experience your sugar than I did the first time, because I didn't really have the context in place. So thanks for that. And one last toast goes out to Matt Roth from Hops Geek News podcast. He and I hung out last Saturday at Woodland Empire Ale Craft here in the Boise area. He's a podcaster, does a geeky podcast, mostly focused around comic book movies and comic book stuff, and with a little bit of beer. And guess what, Chris? He is in near Boise, and she is near Tampa. His co-host is in Orlando. So what's the chances of two podcasts having co-hosts nearly in the same areas? Pretty amazing, right?
That's pretty awesome. It means we should meet in Lakeland at the Brew Hub.
No, Chris,
what?
I have an idea.
Go on.
Why don't you and I fly out to Boise?
Look, so I tried to fly out to Boise in 2020.
Well, we can try again. That's how that works. You don't have to just try once. You can try again.
There will be a crew in tow.
What does that mean?
That means it won't just be you and I.
You got to bring the
That's
whole family.
fine. You bring whoever you want. I'm just saying we should go to Boise and visit because Danny's not coming out here. So let's go out to see him.
Yeah, I'll take you. I'll show you up. I'll show you a good time.
Because Woodland, I'd love to see Woodland Empire. That's a great place. I'd love to visit.
You mean I can't secret you away from these people and get you to just go? Bro,
You know who you have to convince?
Don't listen. 2 nights.
You know who you have to convince? Tina.
I'm not convincing anybody. Wait a minute. I haven't had enough beers to be convinced that I have to convince anybody. That's your job, pal. That's the point.
Meet me in the middle. Meet me in the middle. We go out for more beers, and then we'll convince them together.
Well, you're paying that round.
That's fine.
All right. Well, hey, and being a former serviceman, I always want to raise my glass and thank all those who have served and who are currently serving the U.S. military services, protecting our freedoms. I hope all you deployed are able to return home safely to your families very soon. And you can find the beers and links and articles mentioned on the show in the show notes located on the show post at tapthecraft.com. And if you'd like to follow us on social media, I can be found on Twitter, Instagram, and Untapped at Loose Screw. And Chris, how can our listeners follow you?
So you can never find me on Twitter at Chris_McKenzie82, or you can find me on Untapped and Instagram at MCK1345. Or guys, you could just interact with me on everything social at Tap the Craft. Now, Joel, how can our listeners reach you? Because I just texted you and said he's going to ask you your social stuff.
Wait, guys, I have a text message. Hang on a second. I can be reached at Joel Bigham on Twitter. I've started to twit a little bit, but not beer related. Well,
okay.
I'm crypto twitting. I'm not
okay.
I'm not gonna follow you then.
I know you shouldn't really. And I don't twit that much. I just started to flip the identity into something that I care about, and the beer industry. To me, the beer industry isn't very active on Twitter, and I do follow crypto, and crypto is very active on Twitter. I am currently accepting followers at Gigantham, which is my Instagram.
Wow, you have a Gigantham? Wow,
Big Ham was taken.
It's a big ham. It's actually bigger than Big Ham.
Gigantham. I can be followed at Trellis Brew Pub on Instagram. Actually, I think that's a good one. And at FR Beer Garden on Instagram too is something that
will come back.
Man, it's coming back. Come on, baby. And B Cups, come on. It's at Fermented Reality. B Cups, I believe, is the Instagram name. There it is. Yeah, look at me with my lager cup.
It is Fermented Reality B Cups.
Yeah.
Anyone doesn't know, Joel is the creator of B Cups. If you hadn't heard that episode before, he is the man behind the B Cups that we enjoy so much.
I does the thing.
I
still does the thing. Still doing the thing. We're making the thing happen. So, yes, that's how the many ways that you can find me.
All right. Well, guess what? It is last call. Time to bring the show to a close. We want to thank you for downloading and listening. We ask you to please tell a friend. And, of course, subscribe on all your favorite podcast apps. And you know what? We have a large amount of people following us or listening to us and following us on Spotify, and they have added the ability to rate your podcast. Why don't you go out there and give us a 5-star rating and get
Five
us
caps.
Just as
5
long as you're
caps,
not
5
Neil
stars,
Young.
whatever. Yeah, and let people know about our podcast. We really appreciate it. And we do release a show every 2 weeks. Now go out there and spread the good word of craft beer.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
And
We
we
made
are
it.
ending
We
the
made it.
live stream on Facebook. Everybody that is on our
We're gonna
live
change the title
stream,
now to Road Jogan and get
Road
some
Jogan.
pick up some.
Road jogging.
All right, folks on Facebook, thanks for sticking with us. We will see you guys in a couple
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah, Jeffrey, if you're there,
Bye,
thanks,
y'all.
man.
Cheers.
And Tara.